right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great morning, everybody. This is Dr. Larry White Sr. broadcasting live from the Dr. Larry White Sr. Show. I'm not going to do my normal introduction today, but I just want to tell everybody the second book. Thank you, PK, for purchasing my second book. I had to send them back. The printing was all jacked up. Couldn't send it out that way. So I had to redo it, and I'll be getting them in the mail to mail everybody. Some of y'all been asking where they at. And I didn't want to go to the post office, to be honest with you. And if I ship them right from Amazon, they will not be autographed. So I'm in prayer to figure out what I'm going to do next. But thank you, everybody. Two-time best-selling author. Thank you so much for purchasing that second book called Operating in Excellence. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today with these great folks with a subtitle called Pain, Purpose, and Position. So thank you, everybody. I'll share this broadcast out. And I just want y'all to know, be patient with me on the second book. They are coming. So I want to just start off with introducing my VIP guests today. They inspire me. We had a little conversation offline, and I love them. I got to start off with the queen of the queen on the show today, Kashonna Holland. How are you and your family? Tell us what's going on. For those who may not know who you are, take a minute or two to tell the listening audience who you are, Kashonna Holland.
Absolutely. Well, good morning, Larry, and my awesome co-guests here. I am super excited about being here this morning. Thank you so much again for having me on the show. I absolutely love connecting. I love speaking to your audience, who are also very encouraging. So my name is Kashonna Holland. Again, I am the CEO and president of Simply Kashonna, which is a lifestyle brand. So if you think about motivational and inspirational speaking, as well as life coaching, that is what falls under that. I'm also the owner of SK Leading Forward, which is a training and development company. And what we do is we have the wonderful privilege of training employees as well as leaders with soft skills. And what I like to say, Larry, is I help grown people play together in their sandbox, get together in their sandbox, get along together. So that's what I have the wonderful privilege of doing, some executive coaching in there, as well as some team building and just really helping organizations to change and shift their cultures.
Well, listen, we're going to thank you so much for sharing, Kashonna. We're going to get to, all of us had a lot of events planned, and we did not cancel them. We're postponing them. So I'm really excited to talk to you when we come back about your upcoming event, because this pandemic, we make the best of it. We go over here to PK out of New York, and I know that I've been able to get closer to my family. I was already trying to lose some weight. I think I've gained about 5 pounds. So, but I'm jogging, walking the dog. But I want to say this because me and PK laugh a lot, Vince. We're gonna come over to you in a minute. Me and PK, we laugh a lot. My kids, they were struggling, right? This is how it was in the 70s and the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And I told my wife, I said, if they didn't have these cell phones, they would really figure out how we had to coexist back in the 70s and 50s and 60s for you there, Vince. I'm just saying. All right. PK, let's go over to you, brother. I met you through Sherwood. I said, this brother bad. 90% of my Facebook clients, friends are females because they're just sharp like Kashonna, but I intentionally wanted to connect with you, brother. And it's been a blessing ever since. So 2-time best-selling author, entrepreneur, speaker, coach, everything, PK Kersey. And I just want to shout you out. I saw you on the Steve Harvey show, man. I had to, a lot of brothers don't share a lot of other brothers, or maybe the jealousy or something like that. And we got to get beyond that. It's enough for everybody. But brother, when you was on Steve Harvey, I was like, that's my boy. Go ahead, PK.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me, Larry. I appreciate it. We're definitely doing our best during this time. My name is PK Kersey. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm actually the founder of an organization called That Suits You, where we collect professional attire and we provide them to men coming home from prison, homeless shelters, and students in high school and college. We also provide training, information, and motivation. And I'm also the author, as you mentioned, of 2 books called Suited for Success, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which features 25 amazing Black and brown men that share their stories of success, struggle, and challenges. And I'm just so happy to be pushing that book right now because the stories in there are powerful, and it's just what we need in times like this to be motivated. You can see working for a company is not guaranteed. Things happen. So it's good to have something that you actually create and that you can control. So I'm very happy to be pushing that agenda and sharing the stories of these men who have built some amazing brands.
Yes, yes, yes. And it looks like, um, let's see, Reece has joined us. And Reece, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. We're just going through introductions. So Reece, I will be with you, but thank you so much for joining. PK, I want to just say this. You and I are very similar. And I just want to take my hat off to you. Here's a man that left, he'll get to tell y'all this, I guess, but he left a nice government job and he started his own company. He does it right, everybody. He's got that nonprofit running parallel with the for-profit so he can write himself a check from one side to the other. But I just really appreciate everything that you're doing for African-American males. I try to encourage our people, especially the ladies, to include men in your endeavors. Because most of the time in the household, we are the problem, the men. So I'm gonna do a special show with my mastermind folks this Saturday, and Vince, I want to talk to you about that as we go up to you. It's called When Men Lean In, We All Win. Say that again. When men lean in, we all win. Mm-hmm. Every time I go to a conference, I see a lot of beautiful women and they're single parents with no excuses. And I'm like, what a man at? You know, I am one of those men that was not raised by my biological father, but there's no excuse. We got everything in place, and I appreciate what you said, because we need to figure out a way, if we're not working for a traditional company that can lay us off at any time, what are those things we can do to generate generational wealth, extra income? So thank you for sharing, PK. We're gonna come back and dive into that book. And the next time you're on the Steve Harvey Show, give me a shout out, my brother. All right. We're gonna go up here to Vince Leggett. Vince, you're an absolutely amazing guy. For those who may not know who you are, Vince, we've got Reece on the line from Atlanta, beautiful actress who I intentionally connected with. We're going to hear from her next. But Vince, for those who don't know who you are, just take about a minute or two and tell us who Vince Leggett is.
Well, I'm Vince Leggett, and I live in Annapolis, Maryland. That's the home of the United States Navy Academy, just as a reference point, and it's strategically located 30 miles from Baltimore, 30 miles from Washington, D.C. So it's right in the heartland on the Chesapeake Bay. My passion project is called Blacks of the Chesapeake. And about 25 years ago, we started a foundation called Blacks of the Chesapeake, documenting the contributions that African Americans have made in the maritime and seafood processing industries throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. We write books, and my latest title is The Chesapeake Bay Through Ebony Eyes. It has a collection of stories, people we've met along the way, recipes, poetry, and it's a companion curriculum guide that we use K through 16. That's colleges and universities. So that's where my passion lies, and that's the work that we've been involved in, working with filmmakers and artists, and just trying to find different ways to tell that story about our contributions in those industries. So often, if you pick up a book about the Chesapeake Bay or maritime life anywhere in the country, whether it's New Orleans, New York, South Carolina, in the Sea Islands, very seldom you hear about who these people are. It might just be a picture says crab picker, oyster shucker. We asked the question, who are these people? And we went out to tell their stories, hear about their goals, aspirations, and disappointments. So that's where my passion lies, but I also serve as a registered lobbyist in the Maryland legislature, advocating for education, clean energy, historical and cultural preservation. So in closing, I describe myself as a country boy from East Baltimore. And after people stop laughing, saying, ain't nothing country in East Baltimore, I say, well, here I am. But thanks, guys and girls.
Well, look, Vince, I'm inspired by you, Blacks of the Chesapeake. That is interesting. When this pandemic is over, I'm going to be down there at Chesapeake Beach, and you got to show me the ropes. I really appreciate you, brother. A couple of shout outs we got to do before we go with Reece. Jackie Mims is tuned in, everybody. Say hello to Jackie Mims. And I love her. And she lost her mother 2 weeks ago in New York due to the pandemic. So I really, my heart is heavy for her. She tunes in every week, every day, every time I have a show. So shout out to you, Jackie, hang in there. And you're gonna see a third book that's coming out called Iron Sharpened Irons. Inspired to Achieve, Think, and Grow. She's a part of that. And I just got to give Jackie a shout out. I love her. I'm going to say hello to my son real quick. Is that I said, hey, do you have enough strength to write a chapter in this contributing book? And her mother was on a ventilator. And she said, I can do it. I'm going to dedicate it to my mom. In the midst of her writing the book, her mother passed. Her sister survived. A praise report, her sister survived COVID-19. So I just want you to stay encouraged, Jackie Mims. I love you, my sister, and thank you for taking the time to write the book, inspired to dedicate it to your mom and your sister and your family. And thank you for tuning in, Jackie Mims. And a shout out to my son, my amazing son. I'm going to get my granddaughter tomorrow. I'm gonna be safe with some gloves and everything, but I gotta go get my granddaughter tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing her. Amen. All right, we got Reece up here. Reece Odum. She's an amazing actress. I've been following her, and right when I had to postpone my Atlanta event, she was in LA, and I'm following her. Welcome to the show, Reece. Tell everybody who you are, my dear.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciated that you've always supported me and reached out to me to be a part of your awesome show with these amazing people. So I'm honored to be here today. I'm Reece Odum. I'm an actress based out of Atlanta. I've lived in both places, Los Angeles and Atlanta. So being from Atlanta, born and raised, I came back when the industry, excuse me, it's a little bit early for me.
Right.
Whenever the industry picked up here in Atlanta, that's when I moved back home to be closer to my family. Anybody who knows me, I'm a family girl, so a lot of what I do is centered around them, and a lot of projects that I take on, I consider and think of them before I take them. A lot of us as artists tend to be faced with opportunities that we might not normally be comfortable with, but because we want to do what we want to do, we take those on. But I tend to stay very centered and grounded in my family and take on projects that are meaningful. So I have a lot of independent films that were centered around subjects that, we tend to, kind of push under the rug, like domestic violence and organ donor in the minority community. So, there are a lot of different myths and things that go along with that. So we try to dispel those things to help people understand different things that, can really help to save lives. And, as an actor and a producer, I tried to do whatever it is I could in the community to make a difference and to bring awareness to different things through the art of storytelling, which, like Mr. Leggett was referring to, that we have a lot of stories that haven't been told. And as an artist, it's typically our duty, to be the voice to the voiceless and to try and educate, our communities the best way we know how through filmmaking, because a lot of times with film, you can tap into a psyche with people that, a lot of times you don't get to in other ways. You can stand and talk all day, but if you put it in a film and you subliminally tap into that with some type of message, you tend to reach people in different ways. So that's always been my goal in enjoying being a storyteller. I also like to just, be that person that can help, in some kind of way.
Thank you so much, Reece, for sharing that. I tell people every week when we do the show, we laugh on the show, we cry on the show, we do whatever, we have a good time. So here's the thing for you, Reece. Do not listen to your governor. He is completely, I listened to your mayor yesterday, amazing young lady, but that governor that's trying to open up bowling alleys and places where predominantly African Americans go, just a quick death sentence for our folks, so yeah, that's my thing to you. Of course, just want to put that out there to your listening folks, because please, Atlanta, like PK said, PK is up in New York. They got hit hardest off the break. Atlanta numbers are spiking. Maryland, I'm in Maryland with Kashonna and Vince. Our numbers are spiking. And as much as we want to get out there, and it's alarming I don't know if you all saw P. Diddy's piece last week where he had all these amazing people on, Vance Jones breaking it down. And y'all just be safe down there in Atlanta, because when this pandemic is over, Reece, that's the first place I'm coming with my 2 books, and we're going to do that. I'm going to see if I can bring Kashonna with me, but it's called Deposit Your Dreams into Success. And we could just use, I love your vision and you being an artist. And I'm going to go right up here to Kashonna. Kashonna, do I need to unmute you, or are you going to do it? I guess. Okay. Kashonna, what inspired you to be this artist as well? Speaker, coach, what inspired you to get into the entrepreneurial world? And this question is for you as well, Vince and PK, because I'll follow once the Queen dropped the mic here. What inspired you to do what you're doing today, have your events, your workshops, entrepreneurial? And also tell me, that 2-part question, what are you doing right now with your business virtually during COVID-19? So double question for you, Kashonna, and followed by PK and Vince.
Absolutely. So I have been in business full time now for almost 8 years, which is, oh my gosh, the years are going by so fast. But the common denominator for everything I've done, I've been in human resources, I've been a recruiter, I have served as an executive pastor. So I've done quite a few things in my lifetime, but the common denominator of everything that I've done has been people. It's always about making people better. And so, of course, with training and development and motivational speaking and being able to inspire people and give people hope, that didn't fall far from everything that I had done in the past. So when I was, I don't have the story that, well, I hated my job because I was an executive pastor. So needless to say, I don't want to say that. But I loved what I did. I thought I was, in my sweet spot and definitely doing everything that that I had been called to do. But God was calling me out of the walls to do something more. And so when I left my job, my full-time job, I left in a very good place, a place that where I could honestly say people were my strength, and so I left there and went into the marketplace and started my my speaking business and training and development and doing life coaching. And again, the nucleus, if you will, of everything that I did was making people better. And I think that sometimes when people are trying to find their life's purpose, you can always look at the common denominator and see what it is you are called and your purpose to. Now, being an entrepreneur, we don't always have sunny days. Entrepreneurship is marketed very well. It's like everything is great. We wake up like this, but we don't. We don't. We have our mountaintops and we have our valleys. And I believe that knowing the call on your life is super important to your success. If you don't know that you're called to something, you cannot succeed, because when it gets rough and your back is up against the wall, you'll come out and you won't know what to do. So with this COVID crisis, I call it a Goliath that must come down. It's that giant in our lives. It's that giant in our economy. It's that giant in our nation that absolutely must come down. Being an entrepreneur, we are faced with difficulties. We're faced with those things that are hard things and hard decisions. And so we have to make some decisions about who we are and what we're called to do. And I think in the face of crisis, you always have to understand that there is always opportunity. Always opportunity in the face of crisis. And one of the things I love that you said earlier, you talked about pain, purpose, and posture, and I love that because I believe that you have to be prepared, you have to be positioned, and you have to be postured. When we talk about preparation, COVID-19 is really allowing us to do that, because we're not going to be in this forever. When we come on the other side of this thing, what are you prepared to do now? And then we have to position ourselves. When any football team runs out on the field, they get in position, okay? But it's not until the quarterback makes the call that they get postured. And so what we're doing right now is we're in this position or we're getting in position so that when everything opens, where are you as an entrepreneur? Because guess what? They're going to be calling your phone. They're going to be looking at your website. Sharpen your knowledge, sharpen your skills, sharpen your acumen. Make sure that you're ready for the next.
Absolutely. I told you, PK, she can go, can't she? She's smooth, man.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to take a break. Maybe I will. I do the show every Thursday. Reece is sharp as a tack. Last week's show was great. And how can I top that? And then y'all come up here, y'all blow me away. I love y'all. This is amazing. PK, what inspired you to do, you talked about, and I stole this from you, PK. If you didn't patent it, not your company name, but this thing, something you said a couple of times when I met you, and I want to thank you for coming down. Like, all of you all have supported me in some kind of way, purchase a ticket, buy a book. I appreciate you all. But you said about That Suits You, your company, you said it was waiting for you. I like how you put that one time. It wasn't for Vince, it wasn't for me, it was waiting for you. What inspired you to start the company, be an entrepreneur, write these books? And the part two of that is, what are you doing now during COVID-19? As Kashonna said, we're gonna come out on the other side of this. There's gonna be some things, I know some people that have been furloughed, they've been laid off, they're not receiving a paycheck. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things, and I like, people ask me, and Kashonna asked me, what's the platform of this show? The platform of this show is inspiration, empowerment, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Excuse me, apologize. I need some water like Reece. But talk to us about that. What inspired you to start your company? And what are you doing right now during COVID-19?
Well, that's a great question. What inspired me was, after working for New York State Department of Motor Vehicle for over 24 years and seeing people come in for interviews and learning different things about the industry, I started seeing a lot of men come. Well, DMV is about 75 to 85% female and only 25% male. And one of the reasons that was happening is because a lot of the guys, they came in for interviews and they really weren't prepared. When I say they weren't prepared, they didn't give good interviews, they didn't dress the part of the interview, and it really affected them being hired. And that really had an effect on me, because I remember when I first came in for an interview for DMV, I didn't have a suit to wear. I had got a high score. I was one of the highest people to come in. I was excited, but I was like, wow, I got an interview. I don't have anything to wear. So my pastor at that time, Pastor Sparks, he bought me a suit, tie, and everything. I went in and got the job, and I wound up being there for 24 years. And, I was a manager of different offices. So I knew the experience that a lot of these men were having coming in, where they wanted to work, but they didn't really have the skills or the attire for interviews. So me and my brother, we got together and we formed a nonprofit called That Suits You, where we started, we went in our closet and we started giving away suits to these guys. And we saw that their confidence grew. As their confidence grew, they performed better and they started getting hired. So we wanted to form an organization where we can do that on a bigger scale. And we did. We formed a nonprofit and we started going into high schools, colleges, started working with men coming home from prison, started going into homeless shelters. And we saw that it was a definite improvement on their performance. And we saw the results, that they were getting hired. So we really wanted to, cause an effect. And we saw we were having a positive effect. So I was really excited about that. And as far as the book was concerned, the book was just a product of wanting to provide more information. If you look on social media, you always see women doing amazing things. Women joining together, conferences, concerts, anything, and they're supporting each other. But we really didn't see that a lot from men. So the book is really celebrating men. I love to see men do great things. I love to see them succeed. So just bringing them together and sharing these stories of what they have, what they've done, the brands that they've created. So many amazing men doing things, but a lot of people don't know about it. So these books are like a celebration, and it doesn't just tell them the good story. I mean, there's some stories in there that make you cry. Some stories in there that's sad, how they grew up without a father, how they grew up without support, but yet they still were able to find their path to success. So that's really what we want to pour in. No matter what starting point you have, there still is an amazing path for you to succeed. There's no person that's born that they don't have a path to succeed. You just have to be willing to go through that path, no matter what the obstacles may be. So that's what this book is all about. So what we're doing now with this situation that the whole world is going through is, we've had to pivot. So we want to stay relevant. We've been collaborating with different organizations to provide suits and information to people that may need it. Unfortunately, one of the things that have happened as well as so many funerals, we've been providing suits to these people so that they can go see their loved ones in funeral situations, which is something that I really didn't think we would be doing, but that's something that a need came up. So we've been providing so many suits for young men to go see their loved ones in funerals, which is a very sad situation, but I'm glad that we're able to help them out in that situation. And also just telling our stories on panels virtually and doing interviews. And also what we're going to do starting in May, we're going to have all the men to come on Zoom and read chapters for their book to tell people about what their story is all about, and so that we can see these stories and really celebrate what these men are doing.
PK, that's wonderful, brother. I'm trying to do the same thing down here in the DMV, get the men together. You're going to see a special show on Saturday with 3 amazing men. One of my brothers down in Atlanta, and the other brother that's on the Eastern Shore, Deon Banks. We're going to talk about some of these things that you mentioned, and keep doing what you're doing. I feel very privileged and honored. I saw you on a TV radio show. You're on somebody's show every day. So I'm so proud of you because you're doing great. And so I'd like to feel blessed that I had you on the show before Steve Harvey. Then you went on Steve Harvey, and you back again. So I appreciate you, brother. And listen, Reece, before we go up here to Vince, Reece, we have this thing we do on the show. And by the way, shout out to Paul. He's tuned in, Paul. Reece, Odum, I want you to connect with PK Kersey and vice versa, Kashonna, Holland, and Vince Leggett. That's the rule every week. One of the reasons why the first book went #1 is because it's a book of connecting people together. It's called The Ultimate Networker and Entrepreneur. PK took care of me, and I've been able to hang out with PK a little bit and Kashonna. But that book is good, and one of the things I try to use my show for is a platform to give everybody a voice, as Kashonna and Reece mentioned. Everybody, it's one thing to have a seat at the table, but it's another thing to have a voice at the table as well. So, okay, Vince's video went out. Oh, there's Vince. Okay, Vince, I want to go up to you. You're a community leader, educator. Man, I tell you, y'all get to know this brother. Him and Carl Snowden, they lead some amazing things in Annapolis. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he's a community leader, activist, educator. Vince, what inspired you to be a community leader and educator? And tell us a little bit about that. And then what are you doing right now with your business and your leadership during COVID-19?
Well, one thing I'd just like to say is thank you, Dr. Larry, for providing this opportunity and this platform. We've had an opportunity to interface in the community throughout the DMV, and you're really one of my role models. I have your first book sitting right on my coffee table. I share it with family and friends. But as I mentioned in my intro, I'm the country boy from East Baltimore. And I mentioned that to a guy on the golf course one day because I'm an avid golfer. And the guy translated that to mean, hey, I understand what you're saying. You're street smart and you got a great work ethic. And so I've kind of walked into that brand. I mean, I grew up in East Baltimore. I mean, you all remember The Wire. A couple of those scenes were shot on the street I grew up on. So that was ground zero in the hood. But both my parents were from North Carolina, the Rocky Mountain, Fayetteville area. And so every summer I would get shipped down the country. And we worked in tobacco fields, cotton, shaking peanuts, fishing at the pond, sitting on the bench on Saturday night in Tillery, North Carolina, and the sign said welcome and goodbye on the same sign. I mean, little crossroad towns. But I had a granddad, and his thing was, Vince, if you were up on time and keep your mouth shut, you could roll. And so I was up on time, sitting in the pickup truck, and my grandmother would be pleased, saying, well, Pop got little Vinny with him today, everything will be okay. He would drop me by the pool room, give me a quarter, tell the boys look out for me, and he would swing back and get me later, and I never ratted him out. And so that's really how a lot of my whole persona and just the transition from the asphalt and the concrete to be part of people like that sewed into me. And so I've worked for 45 years in various levels, been the CEO of a couple of multi-million-dollar organizations in housing, been a school board president. But out of 40 some years of working, 22 have been in education, K-16. And so I pretend to be a lot of things, historian, writer, a little this, a little that, but underneath of it all, I'm a pretty good planner. My academic training is urban planning and community development. And so I know how to set priorities and goals and allocate resources and zig and zag in the marketplace. And so I translated that 40 some years of experience into a consulting firm called the Leggett Group. and we specialize in government relations, public affairs, and advocacy. So I was able to package that 45 years of working and in the city, in the country, into a business model. And so I'm a registered lobbyist in the Maryland General Assembly. Again, my areas are education, energy, historical and cultural preservation. But what I would say is, in light of the virus and the shutdown and so forth, is that it was great for us that had a plan before the storm hit. I truly believe we're either coming out of a storm, in a storm, or hang on, one's coming your way. But everybody on this broadcast today had something in place before it hit. It's so difficult to organize in the midst of a storm. But we came in. I like your preparation and positioning and the things that PK and the others have talked about. We had something going into the storm. In conclusion, in this segment of the broadcast, I would say the whole idea of going back to the old days are gone. The old days are gone. There's a new paradigm. There's no going back to nothing. I think that in the midst of every crisis, there are opportunities for those that are prepared. We need to find a way to pivot, not out of here, but pivot in here. Because those that's waiting for the storm to pass over, you're already late. We're here positioning in the storm. And I'll just put a pin in it for right now.
Vince, thank you so much. I have to put you on blast in a good way. Kashonna, I've been watching you cook and being creative with your amazing son, loving on each other. I like when you said that. We're getting ready to go to Reece, and we got about 5-10 minutes left, everybody, but I got some stuff, some heat for y'all real quick. But when y'all come to Maryland, hook up with Vince, because he fries some of the best fish that I've seen. I told him, I don't know if y'all vegans or anything. I told you we're gonna laugh and we may cry today, but at the end of the day, I'm frying me some fish tomorrow. I'm gonna show y'all the picture. I'm in this food group on Facebook. It's called Hey Foodies, and I post my pictures up there, y'all. So thank that fish. And listen, you know, we social distancing and you got to stay at home. He had the nerve to fry some fish, so I called him immediately. Hey, how dare you fry that fish on TV like that? And then I can't come get none. He told me his neighbor said we can smell the grease popping.
Going out for tonight. I'm fish frying tonight.
Hey, that's what we're talking about.
Listen, I want to go over to Reece, and we got a few minutes left, everybody. One more question for everybody, and then we'll get your contact information and share it out. Reece, I graduated #1 in a class. A John C. Maxwell course is called Intentional Living. Graduated #1 in the class. And it teaches people how to connect with people. I connected with all of you all intentionally. My mother always taught me, show me the people you hang around with, I'll tell you a little bit about yourself. So when I look over to my left, I got Kashonna. When I look over to my right, I got PK, I got Vincent, and I purposely connected with you because I saw brilliance. I got to connect with her. She was flying back and forth from Atlanta to LA. She really wouldn't return any of my inboxes till like 2 weeks later because she's real popular. And so finally she said, all right, I will come to the event in Atlanta. I will do closing remarks or opening remarks. I forget which one we had her doing. She was so humble, and I see her on the TV set. I'm like, whoa, she's producing this movie, and she called little old me. So I was like really honored, like with PK and Kashonna and you, Vince. And I just want you all to know that leadership training that I graduated #1, this is a direct reflection of that, because it teaches you how to connect with folks that can make you better. So Reece, what inspired you to be, I mean, I don't see a lot of our people, male or female, shout out to Tyler Perry for what he's doing down there, but you don't see a lot of women of color being producers. What inspired you to get into this acting thing? And I know you talked about your family, but you know, when you were a little girl, did you know that this was what you wanted to do, to be an actress and producer? How did you get there? And then tell us what you're doing right now during COVID-19 with your business.
Well, as far as wanting or knowing what I wanted to do as a little girl, I think that my family will tell you that, you know, I've always shown them that I enjoyed being, you know, the center of attention. But with that said, I think that my creative side did grow as a child because I've been a part of the performing arts for most of my life. And it just came full circle when I started acting when I moved to LA about, I guess, 15 years ago or so.
Sure.
And it's just always been like something that I was very comfortable with, being in front of a crowd from a very young age. And it was the only place that I felt alive. So I always tell people that, you know, when you have a passion for something, you know that you have like that in you to do it. And a lot of people just don't follow that. Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
so, you know, you try to go the safe route. Of course, I went to college, I did all those things, but, you know, it just kept calling me. So I went to school for marketing, which of course helps with my creative side. And now as an actor, and then, you know, I stepped into producing on an independent level shortly thereafter because of that curiosity of every side of it. So, you know, I think that with everything that you do, you should know the ins and outs of what it is it takes to make it happen. So that's why I went from acting and touched into producing. But my first love, of course, is acting and telling those stories, because I think that my creative side has to come out on both sides. So that's why I did both. And it's just something that's very fulfilling to me, especially when people reach out to me and tell me that some film that I've done, especially on an independent level, because I had so much creative space within those as an actor and a producer. Um, it means a lot to me when they reach out to me on these social media platforms and tell me that they appreciate me doing a film like that, or, you know, making sure that that particular thing was heard, because most of my independent films are and have been on television as well. So it's reaching people, and with the digital platforms now, they're reaching people across the world. And that's, you know, that's all you can hope for. And what it is that any of us do is that we actually affect and reach people in positive ways. And so, you know, that's been, you know, part of why I feel probably even more accomplished as an actor, because I've reached people without having to have that, you know, huge name yet, you know, because that's coming. But as far as what I'm doing right now, a lot of us actors um, have just been able to press pause, you know, because a lot of times, like you said, I just keep going, and from events to auditions to meetings to reading a script to, there's just never, and people think that we're just saying it, but we have to keep going, much like, you know, because we are entrepreneurs, we are our own business. And so it's something that all of you can understand, because it's just a constant thing. And with COVID, I think, and my pastor says it best, that, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, it's a restart, you know, for you to, you know, take this time and use it in a very positive way, you know, spiritually, mentally, all those things. So from, you know, actually taking time to meditate and pray and do those things that you probably rush through on a regular day, to learning new monologues as an actor, to looking at, and it's actually a very good time now for us as artists, because, you know, a lot of our work is actually being watched. You know, people are
Yeah.
having all these, you know, all these minutes and times to sit and just watch TV and binge watch old episodes. So like if I was on season 2 and it's already on season 4, you're probably gonna go back to season 2 to start from the beginning, you know. And so that's, you know, that's also good, because then people actually get to see your work, and, you know, and then we actually get time to get better, you know, and to work on our craft a little bit more in depth, and remember why we're doing it. So I'm actually trying to use this time as a positive, and I'm hoping that most of the people are, and appreciating the fact that you are getting just a moment, you know, like even if it's, you know, back, you know, like I told you, you were talking about the governor of Georgia. That's that's a whole nother conversation, and I don't even want to get into the politics of those things. I'm thankful that we have a very sound-minded mayor, and that she is a woman of color, thankfully, that, you know, can show them that, yes, we actually are very conscious and aware of things in a different way than some of them, you know, like things
Right.
that matter to us might not matter to them. So
Right.
I'm glad that she used her voice, you
Mhm.
know, to say, you know, yeah, I might not be able to override what you did, but I'm going to use my voice because I can still speak and tell my city to use their common sense and do what it is that we need to do. So all that to say, I'm trying to better myself during this time. So,
You know, Reece, I like what you said. I like what you said. Uh, Putting things on pause, restarting. I like that. And you know, thank you so much for sharing. We're just about wrapping up the show. I'm going to start up here with Kashonna. Thank you so much for sharing, Reece. Let's go up to Kashonna. What virtual things are you that you may be doing? Are you doing any virtual workshops, Kashonna? And can you end with your contact information, how folks can contact you?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we had to shift really quickly from we started Upgrade 2020, which was going to be happening in March. So we shifted that to September, and we're hoping that we can do a live event. But if not, we'll pivot. You know, but we are doing an Upgrade Undenied virtual masterclass. So that has been absolutely incredible. Our last class is actually on next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And you can go to my website, which is simplykashonna.com, and get the information for that. We'll also be opening up some other professional development trainings, virtual trainings. So I'm looking at doing that probably at the beginning of March. So again, just stay connected to us by going to simplykashonna.com. You can also go to leadersmoveforward.com. So that's on every platform. Leaders Move for One on Twitter, Simply Kashonna on Instagram, Leaders Move Forward on Instagram. So either way, you will find me. Just Google me.
Listen, I want to talk. I want to talk to all three of you all offline later today or tomorrow. I would like to do a documentary on all the events I've done, and I need some tips from you, Reece. And I would like for you to help moderate that, Kashonna. There's a way to do like my biggest concern is getting the people's permission to put them in the documentary, but I want to talk to y'all offline on that one because I got some stuff I do with Stacey Ladislaw, but I wouldn't want to just put her in a documentary without her permission. Of course, I couldn't do that. Wouldn't want to get sued by my good friend. But Kashonna, I want to talk to you offline about that, and God bless you. Stay with us because we're going to say a virtual goodbye. PK Kersey, do you got any upcoming events virtually? I know you talked a little bit about it. How can we watch you and what you're doing on TV, radio? What kind of virtual thing can we look forward to seeing what you're doing, and your contact information, sir? Unmute yourself. You got to unmute yourself there. Let me see. Yeah, I think I did it. Okay, start over, PK. You were muted.
Sorry about that. Thanks for having me on, and thanks to everyone who's been a part of it. Actually, in May, we're going to be starting to do some, we call it book reading, Tutor for Success book readings, where we're going to have, we have 2 books, so that's over 50 men who've written stories. So we're going to have them on and just have them tell us about themselves, tell them why they wrote chapters and what the chapters mean to them. So we're going to be doing that in May. And also, you know, we're still online. You can follow us, our work at www.thatsuitsyou.org. See the work that we've done, see what we have going on. Actually, I have a meeting with Black Enterprise later on today. Unfortunately, the founder, Earl Graves Sr., passed away earlier this year. And I'm actually going out to the family's house for a quick visit today. And they've been so wonderful to the work that we're doing. I just want to drop something off to them and pick something up. But they've been so awesome. So we lost a legend recently. But and on Facebook, social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at That Suits You. You can follow us, see the work we're doing. Please connect with us. We're definitely on social media a lot. I love to connect with everyone on this call, on this Zoom. And once again, thank you, Larry, for having me on. And I'm looking forward to reading your book.
Oh, amen, brother. You are smooth. You are smooth, brother. You know, I was watching the Babyface Teddy Riley showdown the other night, and I was rooting for Babyface, and Babyface won. All right, and I did a little little rendition yesterday with a couple of my producers, and we just try to make people feel good. But you inspire me. I love what you're doing with the men in New York. And once this pandemic is over, I'm getting Kashonna to New York, and I'm gonna get Reece to New York, and Vince and I will rent a limousine. We'll figure it out. We'll get on up there. All right. Vince, Vince, you and I are gonna do a virtual workshop next week. So tell everybody what you would like that to be. Anything around education, leadership, workshop for me and you, and put right here on Zoom, and how folks can contact you, Vince.
One of the things that I've been doing is that in 2000, the Blacks of the Chesapeake got designated as a local legacy project by the Library of Congress. And so our plan pre-COVID was in 2021 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Blacks of the Chesapeake. Since we've been shut down, I've been doing broadcasts, lectures, shooting straight from the Chesapeake Bay, showcasing people, places, and things that we have collected and documented over the last 30 years. Dr. Donald Bird from the Blackbirds, Howard University, was working with the Blacks of the Chesapeake. We've had owners of seafood processing plants, captains and commodores of yacht clubs. The governor even designated me an admiral of the Chesapeake Bay because of the history. So each day I go out to the edge of the bay and do a 2-minute blast off showcasing items in our Blacks of the Chesapeake local legacy collection. And that's really getting a lot of traction. So just Google Vince Leggett, Blacks of the Chesapeake, and join in for virtual fish fry.
All right, all right. Well, listen, we're going to round out. Thank you so much for sharing, Vince. You're absolutely amazing, brother. Let's connect offline and get our workshop together for next week. We're going to end the show here with Reece. Reece, I have a question for you. How do we watch your films? If you can inbox me a link, but I want to watch some of your films and I want to support you. And also shout out to Bernice. Shout out to Betty and Claudia DeGreat, your sister, Vince, our sister here in Annapolis. Thank you for tuning in, Claudia, Betty, and Bernice. Bernice, I think she's in Alabama, by way of Gary, Indiana, my hometown. Reece, I want to watch some of the films. So tell us how we can watch the films, and also round us out with your contact information if folks want to contact you for events and things of that nature.
Well, first off, thank you again for having me on, and with this, amazing group of people. It's been really an honor to be on this morning, and you can find most of my things online. I mean, meaning if you were to Google me, like Kashonna said, and that way you can actually kind of pick through what it is that you want to watch. My independent films are on different digital platforms right now, like Amazon, or I think it's Tubi. There's so many of them right now. Like a couple of TV shows I'm on, I think, are on Netflix. So if you go to my website, I have a website. It's www.reece-odum.com, and it has a lot of links to like IMDb, where it's like a database where you can find all of, the work that any actor has done. And you can find out pretty much where those things are, I think, if you Google them as well. Because it's hard to keep up with when and where they put them after so long. And we don't do DVDs really anymore, but they're out there. And you can find me on all social media platforms, and that's Reece with a C, Odum with a U. No relation to Lamar. It's on every single platform you can find me. But I mean, I want to say again, it wasn't that I never I hardly ever have time to read my Facebook inboxes. So I was not responding.
Oh,
I just did not see it. And then once I did, that's when I responded. And
listen, I did the same thing for PK. I was messing around with PK. I said, PK, you didn't buy the first book, PK. PK rushed to buy that second book because he knew I was gonna get on it. So and PK, when you do volume 3, I will be a part of that process. And Reece, I love you, sister. Kashonna, I love y'all. And listen, Vince and I, we talk a lot. Reece, you pretty popular. Kashonna, you pretty popular. PK, you pretty. Me and Vince get on the phone. We be talking and everything. It's hard to catch Kashonna. Look, let me just say this. Let me tell you this really quick, and I'll let y'all go. So I like to deal with the CEOs. I like to, this is no disrespect to anybody on this call. I like to deal with PK. I like to deal with Reece. I like to deal with Vince. I like to deal with Kashonna. So I'm trying to book Kashonna for the speaking engagement, right? And I feel like I really know Kashonna. She my girl, right? She goes, Larry, Dr. White, my admin will be giving you a call. So this time through the pandemic, right? I was able to, and shout out to Diamond McBride, she's amazing. But the fact of the matter is, this time, I was able to go straight to Kashonna without going through, because sometimes people get so busy. And like PK, he on TV, radio every day. This guy going to Black Enterprise later today. But I appreciate a call, a text message from y'all once in a while, because I love y'all and I'm watching you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because what y'all have done today, and I'm just shouting out these people who see these recordings, and I want somebody to take this, because I got somebody, a PR person, to try to tell me the platform of my show. I have my platform. I ask some of the similar questions every week because I know what my listening audience want. But I want to say this, anybody take this question, because I forgot to ask y'all. I want somebody to answer this question, and I don't care who it is, but somebody answer this, because this is the one everybody want to hear every week. For that person, Kashonna, Reece, PK, Vince, somebody take it and y'all put your spiel on it. We only got about a minute or two left, but y'all chime in. For somebody that's struggling right now, they were struggling before the pandemic, they're struggling definitely now. What advice or hope can you all give people that's trying to write that book, start a business, but they seem to be stuck? Anybody?
I can just jump in real quick. I'll take less than a minute, so anyone else who wants to chime in. I would say respect the pause. Respect the pause. And Reece said it a little earlier. I think PK said it maybe, but this is a time of pausing. Don't try to force anything that shouldn't be right now. Just pause, take a minute to rest in the time that we're in, and really allow yourself to become self-aware. Where are you right now? And be honest with where you are right now. Are you stressed? Are you in pain? Are you suffering? Or whatever you're going through, acknowledge those feelings. And when you acknowledge them, it's easier, if you will, to get past them, but allow that process time. I would also say turn off the TV, turn off social media, and really allow yourself to disconnect, if you will, from some of the things that are going on, because those things can depress you and they can really make you feel like there is no hope. But when you turn off or disconnect from those things and allow yourself to really, your mind to elevate and be in a positive space, if you will, then you can definitely go further and you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Absolutely.
I'd like to give it a quick shot too. What I would say is that prayer, meditation, and self-examination on their own are great tools, but woven together form a foundation that really can use to pivot. So I would say prayer, meditation, and self-examination woven together will provide a firm foundation for things surely to come and things surely to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, Cynthia Green just chimed in. So thank you, Cynthia, for chiming in. We're just getting ready to round out. And also Sharon Terry, my sister, DFE Mastermind member, Sharon Terry. Anybody else before we close out want to say something on that? Reece, look like you want to say something on that one, maybe.
Look like, I think that they both said it just as I would have. I mean, you have to find your creative space and what moves you to be the most creative is usually when you're not distracted. When you can focus on it, and focus is huge. I know in a time like this, you can kind of just, your mind is scattered. And with like what Mr. Leggett said, I mean, you have to meditate, you have to center yourself, you have to find, have a strong foundation in faith, and I don't like to preach to people, but that's my way. And it always works. God has gotten me through so many things in the past, and he always will get us through them going forward. So it's just like, you just have to have that focus and that faith and that drive and keep going.
Absolutely. Listen, Reece, Vince, Kashonna, PK had to drop off, but I want to thank you all again for being on the show. I tell everybody this every week because y'all inspire me, and I'm a big fan of all of you all. So I'm always, as a young lady, she would write me a check for all my events, but she would never show up. She was always busy, but she said, Larry, I'm cheering from you from afar. And it meant a lot for me. It wasn't that she couldn't make it, but she was busy, and I get it. And so she would always purchase a ticket and she would say, donate this to someone. But I just want to tell y'all, until I see you again after on the other side of this pandemic, as Kashonna put so beautifully, beautiful sister there, beautiful sister Reece and Kashonna, my brother here. I'm cheering from you from afar. You all are doing some amazing things. I love you all. I say this every week. I love you. You can't do a damn thing about it. Amen. So that's it, everybody. That's the show today. We had Reece Odum today. No relation to Lamar, she says, of course. Excuse me. And we had Vince Leggett, our amazing brother, PK Kersey, Kashonna. Catch the replay on YouTube, LinkedIn, IGTV. I love y'all. God bless you. Continue to do great things, and always remember to operate in excellence. Have a blessed week.
Blessings. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great
Thanks
show.
a lot.
Great show. Go fry some fish, Vince.
All right.
I'll see y'all
Great
later.
to meet all of you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Stay safe.
You
Same to you.